Let us pay homage to the lineage gurus, homage to the Venerable Monk Liao Ming, homage to Master Sakya Zhengkong, homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa, and homage to Master Dubten Dorji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of the good practice this evening, Medicine Tathagata of the Eastern Lapis Lazuli realm, Vasaya Guru. Sumo, Tanchen Katso, Duten Siddhi, all Dhamma masters, Dhamma educators, Dhamma teachers, Dhamma lecturers, Dhamma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, and all disciples present here and over the internet. Good evening, everyone. How do you do?
Aisteru Sharange Olamiko Kekero mucho Skoin Ichiban Kimochi ii Jumi Yapi Purin Konbanwa.
Good evening. Today we practice Medicine Tathagata of the Eastern Lapis Lazuli realm, and we wish that Medicine Tathagata is related to medicine. He's also related to illnesses. So, toward the virus is also related. And we hope that Medicine Tathagata can cure the illnesses with this medicine so that all illnesses can be cured. And the virus can be eradicated. So that everybody can live normally. Like usual, that we don't have to suffer so much hardship. We pray, we hope that Medicine Tathagata, the Medicine King Bodhisattva, Supreme Medicine Bodhisattva, Sunlight Radiance Bodhisattva, Moonlight Radiance Bodhisattva, and the 12 Great Medicine Generals can support all sentient beings to abandon this major disaster due to the virus. Today, before the Dharma teaching, I would first like to share a joke.
这个警察问一个人，
The policeman asked
你的
someone,
信用卡被盗，
your
为什
credit
么不报
card
警？
is
这个人回答，
being
因为
used,
偷
and
我
why
信用
didn't
卡
you
的
report it to the police?
那个贼呀，花的比我老婆少。
And he replied, because the money that he spent is less than my
所以他
wife's.
不想报警，
So that's why I didn't report it to the police.
那个贼花的比较少。
Because the thief spent less.
现在这个胖也是一个问题。
Nowadays, overweight is also an issue.
对一个很少看到的小姐，让她欢喜。
If you
你
want
只
to
要跟她讲一
please
句话就可以
a lady that you haven't seen for a while, you can just say, oh, you have lost a lot of weight recently.
那这样她就很欢喜。
Then she would be happy.
但是胖不是没有原因。
But there's a
什
reason
么原因？
to
开
be
心
fat.
我就吃，
When I'm happy, I eat.
伤心我也吃，
When I'm sad, I also
压力
eat.
更大更要吃，
When it's stressful, I have to eat even more.
当然吃了。
And when I have time, of course, I also eat.
这就是胖的理由。
That's the reasons to be fat.
好，现在呢，进入你问我答。
Now we will enter the Q&A
台
session.
湾莲花敏之问的，
Asked by Lianhua Mingzi from Taiwan.
感恩师尊慈悲，为
Clear Master,
解惑。
peace with you. Be
关于
thanks
人
for your
格
compassion
分裂
to answer my
和
questions.
多
On
重
the
人格的问题。
Dissociative identity
这个你要
disorder.
问精神科
What?
医生，
You should ask a
心理医生
psychiatrist and a psychologist instead.
人格分裂和多重人格的问题。好，第一个问题哦，
Dissociative identity
1、2、
disorder.
3、4四个问题跟 A 跟
And she has 1, 2, 3, 4 questions and A and B. Lots of
请问
questions.
师尊，以师尊的佛眼，你如何
Grandmaster,
解释
in your
这
Buddha's
两个名
eyes,
词？
how do you
这
explain
种
this
算是
situation?
禅身灵吗？
Do you consider it
这
to
两
be
个
having
名词
attached spirits?
你如何解释？这种算是禅身灵吗？这是第
How
一
do
个
you
问题。
explain this? Is it an attached spirits?
我告诉你哦，师尊也有多重人格。
So dual personality or alternate personality. You know, let me tell you, Grandmaster too have multiple
我
personalities.
坐在这里啊，
I'm seated here, then I am
一
drowsy.
讲话
But as soon as I speak,
不
I
讲话，
feel awake again.
我就快睡着。
But if I don't speak, I'm falling asleep.
今天有没有打瞌睡？有没有睡？
Am I falling asleep today?
有啊。你们怎么那么老实？
Yes. How can you be so honest?
对呀、坐着不动。
When I
你说
sit
睡醒吗？
unmoved,
坐那么久。
how can I not sleep? And I sat for so long and
但是我一
mantra
讲话
chanting
精
so
神就来
long. But as soon as I speak, my energy's back.
什么人格？
What
这
kind
就
of
是
personalities
多重
is
人格？
that's multiple personalities.
人格分裂
and dual personality disorder, or dissociative identity disorder. I was thinking that sitting here quietly, I shouldn't be drowsy, but really. But as soon as I speak, then I'm not sleepy anymore. Is there someone feeling sleepy when they talk? Yes. Simu can be sleepy while she's eating. She's falling asleep while eating. And every night, she had to light a snack before going to bed. And when she eats, she's like this. Then she starts doing that. And while she's speaking, she would say, "What did you say?" And I said, "Did I say anything?" And she said, "Yes." That person that's tall and big behind you speaking, who's that? And I said, and she asked, "Who's that?" And I told her, "Don't say it. I've seen many more than you." She asked me that, "Who's that behind you, big and tall?" In the daytime, she's fine. Her spirit and everything is normal. But at night, what happens? Daytime and nighttime and before bedtime are all different. And for me, when I'm seated on this Dharma throne, I'm rather different. And I don't have that capability when I eat. I will not fall asleep when I eat. I just eat slowly. Everybody eats faster than I do. Grandmaster is slowest when he eats. After everybody finishes eating, Grandmaster is still eating. Why is that? I don't want it to be like that. But what happens? Did I eat more than other people? No. Then how come I eat so slowly? I chew. I chew all the time. I never stopped. How come it's like that in every meal? I really want to eat in the same... I want to finish eating at the same time as everybody. But I never catch up. I never could catch up. According to Grandmaster's viewpoint, in Grandmaster's eyes, I would say it this way. The so-called dissociative identity disorder and multiple personalities, you should ask a psychiatrist. In terms of science or research, of the brain and mental, you should ask the experts. And you come to ask Grandmaster, and Grandmaster would say, in terms of medicine, you should ask the psychiatrists and medical experts. But Grandmaster comes from the religious viewpoints. Actually, it's not religious, but it's spiritual cultivation. In terms of spiritual cultivation, in Taoism, there's a song. Inside your heart, there are 36,000 gods. Inside the body, there are 36,000 gods. So this is the dissociative identity disorder and multiple personalities. This is from the Taoist point of view. And it exists in Taoism. The upper Tian, the upper Dantian or upper field is the brow point. The middle field is the heart chakra, and the lower Dantian or field is the navel chakra. And in the upper Dantian, there's a color, which color, which people. And in the middle Dantian, how many people with what colored clothes. And in the lower Dantian, how many people with what color clothes. So in the Huang Ting Nei Jing Sutra and the Huang Ting Middle Sutra and the Huang Ting Outer Sutra, it was mentioned in everybody's body. There are many people living in it. So that's the so-called multiple personalities and dissociative identity disorder. If they reside normally, there's no problem. But if they are abnormal, then there would be problem. And the Buddha and the Tantric Buddhism also says there are many Buddhas and Bodhisattvas residing inside the body. At the brow chakra, there is Vairocana Buddha. At the throat chakra, there is Amitabha Buddha. At the heart chakra, there is Akshobha Buddha. At the navel chakra, there is Ratnasambhava Buddha. At the secret chakra, there is Amughasiddhi Buddha. And they have their palaces and their retinues and families. And it even says where Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva Mahastama Praptas, the 8 great Bodhisattvas, at which parts of your bodies. This is in Tantric Buddhism and Buddhism. Tantric Buddhism is also Buddhism. So, if the order is, if they are disorderly or something is at fault, then it would become dissociative mental disorder. So this is not just attached spirits. Attached spirits is only one of the cases that even Buddhas and Bodhisattvas reside inside your body. Very simple, let me tell
你
you.
本尊观世音菩萨，
Your
你就是叫他
Yidam,
进到你里面
Avalokitesvara
来嘛。
Bodhisattva, aren't you
到时候
asking him
修
to
到最
enter
后
into
啊，
you?
本
And
尊在远方，
eventually, the Yidam is at the faraway
然后接
place,
近你，在你
and
面
then
前，
near you, in front of
最后
you,
在你
and
顶上，
lastly, on top of
最后
you,
进到你的
and then
你的
lastly,
身体里面。
entering into your body.
那本尊就是你，你就是本尊
And
啊，
you are
就
the
是相应
Yidam,
啊。
and the Yidam is you.
那时
That's
候你是一
spiritual
个人，
union. So
但
one
是你也是
person,
本尊啊，那就是
a
两个
human
人。
being, but you're
这
also
个
the
叫
Yidam.
人
So
格。
that
如
becomes
果
two
本尊走
people.
了，就人格分裂，
And if the
都
Yidam
从
leaves,
人格。
then there
我
would be
修很
split
多尊本尊啊，
personalities.
像世尊有3个本尊啊，3个本
And
尊
for
就进
multiple
来，
personalities, like if you have many Yidams, like Grandmaster has 3 Yidams, and the 3 Yidams enter
我的解
into
释是这样子
me, then that would be multiple
啊，这样
personalities,
了
right?
解吗？
That's my explanation. Now, do you understand?
如果你是一般的人，
If you're
有
just
禅
an
身灵进到你身体
ordinary
里面来
being,
了，
and there's an
那
attached
你就是
spirits
精神
entering
病
into
患
your
嘛，很
body,
简单
then
啊。
you're a mentally
那
ill
禅身灵
person
要做的，你没有办法控制啊。
because you cannot control your attached spirits.
所以禅身灵喜欢很暴躁啊，说你精
And
神
if
病
the
啊，
attached
你发
spirit
作起
is
来的时候就会
violent,
很暴躁啊，你要打人啊，你要怎么样啊？但
and
如果这个禅身灵不发作的时候，
and
哎
you know,
哎，他是一个很正常的
and
人，
when they
很有礼
are
貌的人哎，但是一发作起来就不一样了。
acting up, then it would be really
这
horrible.
个就
But
是禅身灵。
otherwise, that person is nice
来
and
回答第
polite.
一个问题。
So
第二个，
that's
很
about the
多
attached
精神
spirit.
科的
That's the
病
answer
例，
to the first
很多
question.
的精神
Second,
病患，身体里
in
面甚
many
至住
mental
着几
illness
十个人
cases,
格，
sometimes
甚至彼
inside
此不知
the
道对
person
方的存
there
在。
exist
这些多
dozens
重
of
人格算是
personalities.
产生
Sometimes
灵
they are
吗？
not even aware of each other. Do you consider them to be attached
如果
spirits?
依照我的想法，
According to my
你
opinion,
不是活菩萨住在里面，
if you don't have Buddhas and Bodhisattvas
你不是
residing
神
inside
灵住
you,
在你里面，
and you don't have gods residing inside
而
of
是
you,
禅身灵住在里
but
面，
you have
而
attached
且是
spirits
很多的
inside
禅身
you,
灵，
and many of them,
当然是，
then of course, yes.
当然是。精神病患
Of course, yes.
住着几十个人
Mentally ill
人格，
person,
甚至彼此不
dozens
知道
of
对方的存在，
personalities,
这些多重
and
人
they are
格
not aware
算
of
是
each
产生
other.
灵，当然是。
Are they
我已经解
considered
释了嘛，
to be attached
第一
spirits?
条
Yes, of course. I have
差不了
explained
多
it.
少，没有错，就是产生灵。
It's similar to the first question. They are attached spirits.
医学角度，
From the
精
medical
神
point of
病患因为
view,
人格分裂产生多重人格，
multiple
这
personalities
些
were
多重
result
人格
of
都是
split
自己，
personality, and each
可
of
能
them
吗？
is
以
also
师尊的妙观
ourselves.
察智解
Is that
读看法
possible?
如何？
By a
如
marvelous
果都是
observation and
自己，
understanding, what
就
is
可以
this?
控制，
If they're all
因为不是自己，
yourselves, then you can
不
control
能自
them.
治。
And because they are not yourselves, that's why you cannot control
还
them.
有，师尊认为，
And
我们每一个人都是精神病患，
Grandmaster also think that every one of us is the mentally
只是你精神
ill
病患
person.
的这个程度可以
It's
正
just the
常的
degree
标准。
that you're still within the
有时候
range
也
of
会
a
超过
normal
去，
person.
你
Sometimes
超过这个范
you
围，就是
can
精
go
神病
over
患。
it. Then if
你没有
you
超过这个范围，
if you
你
go
还是正
outside the
常的。
range, then you become a mentally deranged person. Otherwise, you're a normal person,
对不对？
right?
有时候你被控制了，你不知道啊。
Sometimes you're being controlled and you don't
好
even
像
know
这
it.
里有一个笑话吧？
I think there's a joke about it.
我要找这个笑话也是蛮难的，昨天晚上看过了。
I've seen it last night, but it's hard to find
你
one.
看，这个笑话恐怕是排在最后吧。还跟出来，
Come on, come out soon. Come out fast.
好啦， 找到了啊。
Okay, I found it.
早上醒过来，花姐躺在医院。
When I woke up in the morning, I discovered I'm in the hospital. And my head is wrapped like a sheikh from
我打
India,
电话问同事，
and sore all over and got a
同
bone
事讲，
fracture.
昨
I
天
made a
晚
phone
上
call
聚
to a
会
coworker.
喝多了，
What happened? And the coworker
我把你
replied,
带到宾馆
You
房
drank too
间
much
去
last
睡觉，
night, and
然
then I
后派
brought
这里
you
的
to
老婆来
the
照顾你。
hotel
结果这
and
个嫂子一
told
进门
your
那一
wife
刻，
to take care of
你就
you.
吼来一句，给我换一个年轻的。
And when she got in, you yell, Give me the young one. Give me a younger one.
我告诉你一个很简单的事情，
So let me tell you something simple.
人喝了酒以后啊，
When someone
不能自制的也蛮多的。
drinks alcohol, there are many of them that
喝
cannot
了酒
control
以后啊，
themselves.
一发火，
After they drink,
什么东西都摔啊。
and when
这个
they
镜子
get
拿起来就
angry,
丢啊，
they
这个
would
什么拿起来就丢。
throw
一发
everything,
火，或者是
this
说
mirror
生
or
气的时候
whatever.
啊，根本不像个人。
Or when you're
什么东西都
angry,
丢。
you're not like a
走到一个
not
很
like a
贵的
human
古董，
being.
要丢的时候啊，
You would throw anything you can
就
grab,
丢，然后放回
and
去
then perhaps you grab an antique and you realize, oh, this is so expensive, then you put it back. So you still have a little bit of self-control. Otherwise, you do everything else. So isn't that like a mad person? And some people, after they drink, they
当然也
become
有所谓的借酒发疯，
out of control.
借助这个酒啊
And
拿来
of course,
发泄。
someone use the
那个叫借
alcohol
酒。
to let out.
有的是真的醉了，
So,
嫂
or
子
to
进来
vent out stuff.
他都不认得他
And
的
some
太太，
people,
还
you
换一个
see
年轻的，
when his wife came in,
没有打死已
he
经
did not recognize her, and instead he yelled like, "Give me a younger
这是个
one."
笑话嘛，但是也可以
It's
让
good
你看
enough that he's not.
人有时
he
候
wasn't
生气
beaten
的
to
时候
death.
跟疯子是差不了多少。
Sometimes when someone is angry, it's almost the same as a mad
那
person.
个时候有时候没有办法自主了。
And at that time, they cannot control themselves.
我们呢，生活中啊，真的是
In our
心
True
灵
Buddha
常
school,
切收容所。
it's like a
生活中
shelter
里面呢
for
有很多心灵
a
残缺，
mentally
都
deranged
是有点问题的。
people. Many of them have some problems,
这几天
some
有几个
mental
印度人
problems.
进到庙，
This past few
碰到一个
days,
法师，
we have several Indians who came into the temple
欢迎
and
光临。
they saw a reverend, and the reverend said it politely, "Welcome."
这个那个印度人听不懂欢迎光临是什么，但是看他很客气，
The Indian did not
对不对？
understand
觉得都是很有善意，
欢迎光
很有
临
善意的来了。
and they did not understand, but they felt that it was polite and must be with good intention.
帮那些印度人，
So Angel
还有提到
helped
恩姐，
those
恩姐
Indians.
就帮助他翻
They mentioned Angel.
翻译。
She translated
这是什么活菩萨啊？这是什么
and
啊？
this
然后他要
which
到
Buddha and Bodhisattva, and they
那个法
wanted
师
to
说，
go to the
我
gift
来帮你
store.
服务，很
And the
很
reference
很有
said,
趣，
"Oh, let me
他就
help
帮他
you."
服务。
And
还
she,
好
he or she went
这
in
个
quickly and helped them.
今天这个献供养的法师叫做名字，
What's the name of the person who
九如
offered, who made
还
offering
好
today?
九如不
Juru.
在。
Good thing that Juru wasn't there.
那个法师很客气，你要买什
So
么？
that
这样
referent
子
was
哇，招待
kind
他很好。
and
那
treated
个
them
印度人
nicely.
出去的时候啊，
And when the Indians left,
就觉得，哎，不同哦。
they
以前不是这样
discovered this is different. In the past, it wasn't like this. In the past, when they
不要
came,
拿出来，填，
he or she
打
give
针了没有？
them forms like fill it.
检
Have
测了
you
没有？
get injections? Have you been vaccinated? Have you been tested? Fill in the
吓得
forms
那些人都不敢来。
and shock
这次
them
不一样了，
so that
这
they
次服
didn't
务的
dare
是
to
什么？
come. But this time, it's different. Who
个
was
子高
giving
高
the
没
service?
戴眼镜，
The
一个
tall
比丘
one
尼，
with no glasses?
莲叶法师，
A
莲叶
nun,
法师，
the Reverend Lien Ye.
他服务很好，
Her service is
应
very
该要
good.
向他学习吧。
We should all learn from her, right?
哎，那个印度人很赞扬，
That
他说跟以
Indian
前不同啦，
praise her. It's
就像
different
莲叶
from
法师
before.
他本来他就是服务就很好，
Then Reverend Lien Ye has always provided
真的。
good service.
所以我
Really.
们呐，出家人呐，都是
So, as ordained monks and nuns, we are all
这个人格
mentally
多重人格，
mentally incomplete people. They're multiple personalities or dissociative identity disorder.
多重人格，当然都不是自己，师尊的看法都不是自己。
Of course,
但是
in
那个一般来讲，
multiple personalities, they
那
are
个
not
在医学上来讲，
ourselves,
当然都是
according to
都是
Grandmaster.
自己。
But in the medical
医学上来讲，
science,
都是你啊
they say they're all you
他们不相信有灵魂呐，不相
because
信有
they
参
don't
生灵，
believe
不
in
相信
the
有佛，不
existence
相
of
信有生命。
souls or spirits
以
or
科
attached
学上来
spirits
讲，
or Buddhas
根本我
or gods.
什么都没有看到，我就是
In
不
terms
相
of
信，
science,
那你就是一般
whatever
的，
that they don't see, they
你就
don't
是你
believe.
啊，一切
You're
都是你做
just
的。
an ordinary you, and
其实
everything,
有时候
everybody
真的
is you, and that's all you do. Everything is what you do.
精神科医生对于多重人格的治疗方法是，让所有
The
的人格
psychiatrists
和
treat
平
these
相共处，
disorders as
让所
follow,
有的人格融合
letting
成为
all
一个
the
人格。
personalities to
请
get
问
along
师尊，
harmoniously
医师的
and
治
to
疗方
merge
法是正
into
确吗？
one person.
以你的角度，
Is this
你会
correct?
如何处理？你的
If it
建
were
议
you, how would
如
you
何
handle
利
it?
用秘法
What is
处
your
理这个问
suggestion?
题？感
How
恩
to
师
use
尊慈
tantric
悲为弟
practices
子
to
敬奉，
alleviate it?
弟子敏
Thank you,
之敬上。
Grandmaster, for
那他问了，这个
resolving
医
my
生治疗
confusion.
多重人格的方法是
So she's
让所有
asked
的
the
人格和
doctors,
平相处，
and the
让所有的
treatment
人
is to
格
let all the
融合成为
personalities to
一个
get
人
along
格。
harmoniously and to let all the personalities to merge into
台湾
one personality.
莲花敏之，你是不是精神科医生啊？
Lianhua Mingzi from
你
Taiwan, are
如
you
果
a
是精神科医生，
psychiatrist?
才会知道
If
精
you
神
are
科
a
医生怎么治
psychiatrist,
疗的方法，我倒是不
then
知
you
道
would
精神
know
科医生是怎么
the
治疗。
treatments. Otherwise, I don't
对不
know.
对？
I don't know how the
你
psychiatrists
们知道
treat.
精神科医生是怎么治疗吗？
Do you know?
不知道，我只知道啊，这个用打针的啦，让他镇定。
I
让他
only
镇定，
know that they can give
吃镇
injection
定
to
剂，
tranquilize
用打
or
针
to
的，
take
再不
tranquilizers
行用电的，
or injections, or if
用电的，
those don't
或
work,
者给他
then
麻掉，让他睡觉，
electrocution,
让他精神好。精神科我
or
知
to
道，
numb
他
it,
居然知
to
道
let
让所有
them
的人
sleep,
格能够和平共处，让所有的人
to
格
let
融
all
合
the
成为一个人
personalities
格。
to get along harmoniously, and to let all the personalities to
他
merge
是
into
讲说精
one.
神科医生的治疗方法是这样子。
So that's
他
what
是
she
精神
said.
科医生吗？
Is she a
这种西
psychiatrist?
施的治疗方法是正确吗？
Is this
我是这样
correct?
子。
This treatment's
如
correct?
果是活菩萨住在你里面，
As for me, if the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas is living inside you, then that would be
神明住
normal.
在你里面，
If if it is God's living inside you, that's normal. If it's Golden Mother living inside you, that's normal. If it's attached spirits living inside you because they are holding you in bondage, they are your attached spirits, your karmic creditors, they are creating troubles. How do you make them into one personality? Then you become the attached spirits, and the attached spirits become you. Because the attached spirits are your opponents. And Grandmaster's method is to capture your attached spirits, and you become normal. That's my method. That's all. I try to deliver the attached spirits. Make offering to the attached spirits. Like if you have epilepsy, then I would I would place some grass in front of you, and the sheep would come out and eat the grass. Because epilepsy in Chinese is like the sheep is shaking. And then they become normal after the sheep comes out from your body. That's a folk remedy. If someone has epilepsy, which means like a sheep genies attaching to you. So and you place grass in front of him, and the sheep wants to eat the grass and come out from his body. That's just an analogy, okay? And Grandmaster is like this. Grandmaster would induce them to get out, and then Bardu deliver them. That's how I do it. That's my method. But I have cured many mentally sick people. You've seen that woman that had the episode right here. Did you see? And it was the Xuantian Sangdi, the Jade Emperor, that came and helped resolve this problem. He brought his precious sword and then to chop off the ghost. And then when she returned to California, she recovered. She got cured. This happened here inside the temple. So the Jade Emperor came to help. And as I said before, when I lived in the Yixing community, I had cured many mentally ill people, and several of them even immigrated to California. There was the lady boss of a restaurant, and she's in Los Angeles now. I cured them, many of them. The one I wrote in the book, Liu Mingyue, a mad person. When she's being attached, she would lay in bed and she would tremble on bed. And it's like exorcism in Catholics. In Catholicism. In the name of God, Jesus, and they use the cross to exorcise, to chase the demons away. So in Catholicism, they also have exorcism. Like Luke's daughter. Oh no. Luke. Is Luke here today? It's Lucas. You have seen Luke's daughter, right? She was crying and yelling, and Grandmaster tap on her back like this.
打那以后，把那个灵震出来。
And I chased away the spirit, and she recovered.
好啦，40已经讲了40分了。
I have talked for 40 minutes for your questions.
够了吧？
Taiwan 名字 from Taiwan. Is it enough?
不够，明天再讲。
If it's not enough, I will continue tomorrow.
这个南非联邦。
Questions from South Africa. 莲花永源。
南非联邦的弟子，莲花永源。
莲花永源。
师尊师母，真佛中好。在师尊文集第216册第158页提到华尔
Two Buddha School. How do you do?
就是说，这个华尔本然不是修行而能够得到的。
Grandmaster, in your book number 216, question and answer from the contemporary Dharma King, on page 158, you mention about the intrinsic suchness of all Dharma, that everything is thus. And you said that it cannot be obtained through spiritual cultivation, so chanting sutras and practicing Dharma are useless. So let me tell you, Dharma is false. It's to induce your true Dharma nature, your Buddha nature. And only that is the intrinsic of the Dharma. So it is correct that Dharma is false. The Dharma is not the intrinsic suchness of all Dharma. This is Buddha nature. These 4 words. It inherently inside you, because Sakyamuni Buddha has said, upon his enlightenment, he spoke a statement. It turns out that all sentient beings have Buddha nature. That's the intrinsic suchness of all Dharma. But to obtain this intrinsic suchness of all Dharma is not through spiritual cultivation. I wrote it in the book. That is correct. Because spiritual cultivation is to practice the falseness until the true Buddha nature appears. Only then that would be the real intrinsic suchness of all Dharma. Therefore, at that time, you need to let go of all spiritual cultivation. That spiritual cultivation is not the intrinsic suchness of the Dharma. It is just a tool, a means. Do you understand? So we cultivate spiritually, that's right, but in the future, eventually we have to abandon this spiritual cultivation. When you reach the intrinsic suchness of all Dharma, you don't have to cultivate spiritually anymore. That is called the realm of no practice, the realm of no learning. That's what I meant. So it is not obtained through spiritual cultivation. It's not that every days in, days out, you train, you cultivate spiritually, and the spiritual cultivation becomes the intrinsic suchness of all Dharma. No, that's not what I said. You cannot attain it through spiritual cultivation. But you use these tools to open it, and afterwards, do you still need the tools? No. No need. In the Vajra Sutra is mentioned. So you have to forsake all Buddha Dharma. Moreover, the non-Buddha Dharma. So what I mentioned about spiritual cultivation here is the methods. It's like what Grandmaster says about the deity yoga, about the preliminary practices, and then 5 kinds, right? The first one, the merit accumulation dharma or path, It's performing good deeds. That's one method. And then the preliminary methods, and then seeing the path. And then you finally recognize the Buddha nature. And then the path of practice. You want to make the Buddha nature to realize it. So Buddha nature is to be not to be practiced, but you rely on this means and tools to see the Buddha nature. And then lastly is the ultimate path, which is the Buddha nature. So in this process, I said, it is not to be obtained through spiritual cultivation. So chanting sutras, practicing Dharma, they're all just tools, means. So when the intrinsic suchness of Dharma appears, then you have no more needs for these tools or means. That's why in Kagyupa there are the so-called the yoga of concentration. First you want to be focused, and second is the yoga of renunciation. You abandon all the mundane, and then the yoga of one taste, that you're already in union with the Buddha nature. And then lastly, it's the yoga of no learning. You don't need to learn anymore. You don't need to practice anymore. If you cultivate spiritually in one taste, that's not the end. So if you still cultivate spiritually, that's not the intrinsic suchness of all Dharma. So spiritual cultivation is not the intrinsic suchness of all Dharma. Until eventually you don't need to practice anymore, and the intrinsic suchness of all Dharma appears, then you don't need to cultivate spiritually anymore. So that's how I explain it. So, but you still have to chant sutras and practice until the intrinsic suchness of all Dharma appears. And then you don't need this anymore, chanting sutras and practicing. And that's called the path of no learning. You have reached the state or the realm of no learning or no practice. Now I will expound on the Vajra Sutra. Only starting now? What time is it? Chapter 4, Non-Dwelling in Marvelous Conduct. It talks about acts of giving. The night before last, as Grandmaster said, at night, to practice, to perform the birth deliverance of the 1,000 Dharma vessels in my meditation, I invited and commanded all Bardu spirits with affinities to get on board the Dharma vessels. I invite all the Bardu spirits with affinity to get on board the Dharma vessels. I chanted that, and afterwards there was a Bodhisattva appearing, a divine Senso Bodhisattva, divine leader Bodhisattva. So, and this divine leader Bodhisattva told me, Grandmaster Lu, what are you Bardu delivering? And I said, I told the Bodhisattva, I am in the middle of Bardo deliverance for those who died from coronavirus. All the spirits that has affinity, all spirits who died from coronavirus. And the Bodhisattva asked, so when Tribuddha school disciples die, do you Bardo deliver them? And I said, yes. Anyone that writes letters to the Tribuddha Foundation, I will Bardo deliver them together on top of the 1,000 Dharma vessels. And then he asked me, do you also Bardo deliver your ancestors and your friends and relatives? I said yes. And the key point is here. The Bodhisattva asked me, all the Bardo spirits and the spirits who have died and passed by you here, and the spirits that had no relations with you whatsoever, so the spirits who are not your relatives or friends or ancestors or your disciples or not died due to coronavirus, do you Bardo deliver them too? I could not answer anymore because they have no affinity with me, has no relationship whatsoever. I don't Bardo deliver them. And the divine leader Bodhisattva told me, so your Bardo deliverance has form. It's called Bardo deliverance with form. So what should I do? And he said, in the future you have to change. So Bardo spirits with affinity, Bardo spirits without affinity, please get on board the Dharma vessels. He said, this way your merits will become immeasurable. Your merits becomes unparalleled, as spoken in the Vajra Sutra. Can you measure the space? No. However, if you perform Bardo deliverance without form or without phenomena, then the merits would be immeasurable. It's the same concept. Therefore, you need to perform Bardo deliverance without form. And you want to Bardo deliver spirits with and without affinities. Whether you know them or not, whether they are parts of Tribuddha school or not, it's fine whether they are friends or not, ancestors or not, whether they died from COVID or not, you have to Bardo deliver them all. Only then it is called Bardo deliverance with no form. That's what the divine leader Bodhisattva told me. And I said, thank you. Because the Bodhisattva said, compassion for those without affinities and loving kindness for them all. So you want to Bardo deliver them all. Only then the merits is unparalleled. But don't keep them in mind that they have merits. Only when you don't think about it, it is called Bardo deliverance without form. And the divine leader Bodhisattva told me this. So the sutra today is this, chapter 4, non-dwelling in marvelous conduct. Subhuti, a bodhisattva should not dwell on anything. When performing acts of giving, he should not dwell on the form of giving, nor should he dwell on the sound, smell, taste, touch, or anything at all. Subhuti, bodhisattvas should perform acts of giving in this way without dwelling on form. Why? Because when a bodhisattva does not dwell on anything, his merit becomes immeasurable. Subhuti, what does it mean? Can space in the east be measured? No, world honored one. Subhuti, can space in the west, north, south, above and below in all dimensions be measured? No, world honored one. So Subhuti, when a bodhisattva performs acts of giving without dwelling on form, his merit and virtue is likewise immeasurable. Subhuti, the bodhisattva should abide this way. Now you understand? In the past, there was and someone who give charity of porridge. And during famine, people don't have food. So everybody was famished. So this landlord was giving out this porridge. Cantonese. So Cantonese is in between Mandarin and Taiwanese. So he gave out lots of this porridge. And there are many of his servants giving out the porridges. And they yelled, "Oh, landlord, there are many rich people. We know them. And they also come for the porridge." And the landlord inside said, "It's okay, continue to give. Whether they have money or not, give them all." And the neighbors too, they come and they have money. And they seem to live, to be well off. And they also come. And the old landlord said, "It's fine. That's fine." And the servants came and said again. And someone came for a bowl, and after he finished, and he came for the second one. And he brought a bucket. And the old landlord said, "It's okay, let him have it. That's fine." No way. And not just one person. He brought the whole family, even the grandchildren. And the old landlord said, "Fine, no problem." And and he's come for many times, and every day they come and eat. And he treats this as a restaurant. And the old landlord still say, "That's fine." Should we set a restriction at what time they can come and afterwards they cannot? But the old landlord said, "No problem. Even if they want to have takeouts or use a bucket to get some, it's fine. Even if they take the whole bucket, it's fine. We just cook more." So the charity of this old landlord is called the acts of giving without form. He gives it all. And more. Non-dwelling on the charity. And these people, the worst kinds of people, and murderers, and evil people, robbers, and liars, and murderers, and they all came for the porridge. And the servants ran in and told him, "Oh no, the killers and the scams and the rapists, bandits, they all came for your porridge." And the old landlord said, "No problem, fine. They all can come. It doesn't matter, it's good or bad. Just give them all." Very simple, let me tell you. This is called acts of giving without form. Without dwelling on form. Let's not talk about merits. It's non-dwelling on merits. But Sakyamuni Buddha has said this kind of merit is unimaginable. So that old landlord in each of his lifetimes would be very wealthy. He did not ask for going to heavens or to become gods, but in each of his lifetimes, for innumerable kalpa, would be very rich and very healthy. So I think after the pandemic, when everybody can live normally, I really hope that the Seattle Lechang Temple, whether they are the neighbors, let them come and eat. It doesn't matter how long you stay here. There's no restriction. Anybody is welcome to eat. The whole families taking out. Even if you take out to give to your neighbors, it's fine. Anything is fine. I'll just cook. We'll just do it until our saving is gone, until the mountain is empty. And Reverend Lianzi, like, "Oh no, we have no more money. They're all eaten up by the disciples worldwide. They all came. They all come and stay and don't leave. And they eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and all of them. And not only that, all their families also come. And not only that, all the neighbors too." But let me tell you, it will never be all gone. It's immeasurable merit. By all means, don't just take a few bentos to those people. And you say, "Not for you. You've been here for a long time," so they take back the bento. Otherwise, they would be scolded by the masters and the reference. The bentos already taken out and then gotten back. That's so embarrassing. You know, if you have take out some, just let them out. Not because just a box of bento. That's truly non-dwelling charity. Sakyamuni Buddha has said, for non-dwelling acts of giving, all bodhisattvas in their 6 perfections are all without form or phenomena. What is this non-phenomena or no form in the Vajra Sutra? And Grandmaster has to perform Bhadra deliverance without form. All the ordained monks, nuns, bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, and all the volunteers after the pandemic disappears, because during the pandemic we have restriction because we are afraid of the community infection. That's why we have limitations on how many people can come in. So that's why we have this discrimination and time limits. Like we have an announcement there, like you have no meals if you stay over 3 months. So if you stay over 3 months, you have no more meals. But it's okay. It doesn't matter. Let them eat. Even neighbors around here, they can, if they want the bento boxes, they can have them. So during the pandemic, they can eat them under the tent or outdoors. And we have limitations indoors because of the pandemic. But in the future, the Seattle Lezang Temple and Rainbow Lezang Temple, we should perform charities with no form. Don't be afraid to have people eat your food, because if they eat, then you would gain blessings. The people who make the food would gain merits. The people of the temples would gain merits. This is non-dwelling. This is no form. This is very important. We don't block sentient beings. We are truly helping all sentient beings. So, and in our help of sentient beings, they are all without dwelling on form or phenomena. So, non-dwelling in marvelous conduct. We don't dwell on anything. And we do acts of givings not for anything. So a bodhisattva should not dwell on anything. When performing acts of giving, he should not dwell on the form of giving, nor should he dwell on sound, smell, taste, touch, or anything at all. It's very simple. You give when a young person comes. You give when an old person comes. So you perform acts of giving without dwelling on form. A weak, sick person comes, you give. A healthy person comes, you also give. Form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and anything. And no difference at all. You give indiscriminately. Then the merits is unimaginable, immeasurable. That's what Sakyamuni Buddha said. A couple ate at the restaurant, and at the next table there's a couple of lovers, and the man keep encouraging the woman to eat more and gain more weight, then you would be healthier. And the wife said, I also want to eat more so that I would gain some weight and then I would be healthier. And the husband said, come on, please don't eat too much, because the one next door is different. Otherwise, you would be almost like a pig. Today, I sneezed 5 times continuously. I was curious, who's missing me? I don't have a boyfriend. Somebody that's secretly having a crush on me? Which one? So I thought of all the boys that I know one by one, and I reject them all. And finally, I have a conclusion that I'm catching cold. Honey, you're so handsome and you're capable. Why do you want to marry me? And he said, oh, because you're so cute, so silly and so cute. And then she said, but I'm fat. But that's very lucky. And then she said, oh, you're so nice. But the husband thought, but I did not dare to tell her that there was a fortune teller that told me if I don't marry you, then I will not live past 40 years old. And the wife was thinking secretly, but I would never tell you even if I die, is that the fortune teller was my uncle. So the problem created from the fortune telling. That's all for today on Money Penny Home.